welcome back. So in this video, we are actually going to be getting deep in the main part of this section. We're going to be pushing and pulling and actually bringing Git and GitHub together. So you can see that if you go to the main page of your repository, it's going to look a little bit different. And that's because I just made a mistake here and added a folder instead of a file for my license. So that's what we're going to do now is we're going to create the README, the license, and the git ignore. But for now, what you're going to want to do is if you look at the top of your page, there's going to be something saying, oh, so, we recommend every repository have a README license. Just click on the README button and it's going to take you to where you create a new file. So I'm just going to create a new file. Again, you probably won't be following along since it looks a little bit different than it does. So it should be mynewrepo/readme.md. So it should be in the root of your repository. Once you're done with that, you can put whatever you want here. And then you're going to, under commit new file, you're going to type the commit message that you want. So created readme proper. Now you don't have to type proper because I just made a mistake. So I'm going to make sure that I know that I made a mistake before. And then under here you have an extended description if you want. I'm not going to put that. Now you can say either commit directly to the master branch, which is what we're going to do, or create a new branch for this commit and start a pull request. So we're not going to do that because we don't need to pull anything right now. We're going to pull the master branch later on. I'll explain pulling and everything later, but we're just going to commit this new README, just like that. So now it'll probably look a lot more familiar to you. The next thing I want to do is go and create a license. So I'm going to go and click on create new file. And I'm going to call it license in all caps .md. Then this button will appear saying choose a license template. You're going to click on that and now you can choose the license you want. Now I'm going to choose the MIT license. Pretty much this just allows people to take your project, distribute it freely. But if you're developing something else, you can choose any one of these licenses. I'm going to just go with MIT for now. So then you can maybe, mess around with some of the stuff here, year 2018 and your full name. Of course, I'm just going to leave that blank for now, but you can enter the proper fields that you want right here. And once you're done with that, you add the license and everything will be done. I'm actually just going to add my name. There we go. Review and submit. So there we go. Now the license template is finished. So you can always type this up from scratch or copy it from the internet, but I would recommend just going with the wizard that Git provides you. So now after that's done, I'm going to say added license under my commits. And I'm going to say commit directly to the master branch. We don't really want to create a new branch. So added license, commit new file. There we go. So you can see that already Git offers a really nice interface for you to create and mess with files. And obviously you wouldn't do everything through GitHub. That's not what it's made for, but it would help. So let's just keep that in mind for now. So there we go. We added our license and our README. And I'm actually going to later on when we pull everything, I'm going to delete this folder and I'll show you how we do that in just a second. But then the last thing I want to create on GitHub is our git ignore. So I'm going to go and create new file and I'm going to call this .gitignore. Just like that. And it says here want to use a git ignore template. We don't want to use a template because this provides templates for different libraries, technologies, and of course we don't want to use that. You can go ahead and search for one if you want one, but we're not going to choose anything. So we're going to go ahead and make an autogen folder, maybe ignore that just to prove that this is a working git ignore. So I'm going to type it just like that. And once I'm done, commit like that, and I'm just going to say created git ignore. And of course, as usual, commit it to the master branch. There we go. So now that we've done all of that, we have 4 commits, 1 branch, 1 contributor, and under an MIT license. So our repository is starting to look a little bit better now. It's not just empty. And the reason that I did all of this after we created our repository is so that we could connect to it through Git and the terminal. So now that that's done, why don't we start actually pulling our information? So I'm going to talk about pulling in just a second, but one thing you need to know is that sometimes, especially with more complex repositories, some conflictions and errors could happen, and they usually get very confusing after a while. There's a lot of different conflictions and conflicting information, so if it doesn't go smoothly, don't worry. You can either go and Google search it. I'd recommend that because there's a huge list of articles and these problems usually happen a lot. But if you're still stuck after Googling it, go ahead and ask a question. But this is usually with more complex repositories with hundreds of commits, something a little bit bigger. So this is just a brand new repository with 4 commits. It's not really that big. So there we go. We have a repository now. Let's start pulling the information. So here's what we're going to do. It's called git pull, and then we have a few options from here. We can either type just git pull, and this is going to take all the information and update our local repository, or you could go git pull origin and then the name of the branch. So you could say, for example, git pull origin master, but because there's only one branch, we don't really need to do that. We can just say git pull and it will pull all the information. Now, sometimes it might prompt you with a login, but usually it doesn't do that. So you can see there, that's what it's saying. It's saying counting objects and all of that. So it's taking everything from there. So now it says there's no tracking information for the current branch. Please specify which branch you want to merge with. So it says see git pull 1 for details. And basically what's going on here is the git pull is not really working because there's no branch being tracked. So we have to actually track a branch first. So this is where your git pull origin master would come in, since there's no branch being remembered. And of course you can see here, there's a way to set tracking information for a branch, so you don't have to go through that again. But we're just gonna go through this command for now. Sorry for that if it didn't work for you. It's a little mistake I made, but there you go. So now it says here, from HTTPS and the name of the repository, star branch master to fetch head. So pretty much what this is saying is now the head is at all of the fetched information. So why don't we go ahead and check our git status. On branch master, nothing to commit, working tree clean. Git log. You can see that we have our 4 commits right here. Even though we didn't do anything in our repository, we have, or in our local repository, we have 4 commits here. So there we go. Now everything's working. You can see our head is on master and then origin/master. So our head is on the remote branch and the master branch. So now let's start editing our work a little bit. So this is pretty obvious. We can remove repositories, everything like that. I'm going to go ahead and list everything we have here. And you can see we have all of these different files and folders that we didn't have before. If I go ahead and open up in my file explorer as well, where is it? Git remote con. You can see everything's there. So what I want to do is remove the license folder, and then I'm going to push all the information back and remember the branch this time. So what I'm going to do first is rm-rf, and by the way, a command you can also use is rmdir. I'm just going to do rm-rf. I just feel that it's more memorable for me, but we're going to keep it like that. And then I'm going to type the name of the folder, license. There we go. I removed it. Let's list it. So we're going to check the status, just our regular commits, git commit -m removed mistake folder, just like that. There we go. So now we committed it. So if we check our git log, you can see that the origin master branch ends here, and then the head is on the master branch. So these are 2 separate branches right now. So what we want to do is package all of this up and update the remote repository so that the origin master branch and the mistake branch or removed mistake folder master branch match up. So this is actually quite easy. It's very similar to our pull command. What you're going to type out is git push this time, and you're going to add a -u flag. So what this does, and I'm just going to actually stop right there. What this does is pretty much remember the branch that we're pushing. So this is what we're going to do. Is right here, git push -u origin, and then master. So we're going to push the master branch back up to our new repository, right there, like that. So we're going to click enter. Just wait for that to load. So now it's going to ask you for your username and password. So I'm going to type out that. So this is some really nice security added in. So I'm going to type my password as well. And by the way, it doesn't actually show you your password. That's one thing with the terminal when you're entering your password. So there you go. That's just one thing you need to keep in mind. So there you go. You can see that it said remote resolving deltas, everything. So it said branch master set up to track remote branch master from origin. So what this is saying is that now the master branch is being remembered, so you don't have to type the name of the branch every time. So let's go ahead and check our GitHub repository and see what happened. Now you can see it's been updated with our commit that we made in our terminal. So you can see that this cycle is starting to work a lot better now. We have only one branch, remember. We have 5 commits, 1 contributor. So there we go. You can see that it's all working, and whoops, it seems like I removed the license file instead of the folder. So why don't I go ahead and actually create it again, and then we're going to pull the information just for a little bit more practice. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to create a new file. We're going to call it license. And remember, we're just doing it again since I accidentally deleted the license file instead of the folder. So just make sure that you don't make a mistake with that. And I'm going to enter my full name here, just like that. So then let's go ahead and create our license. There we go. So I'm just going to added new license. I'm going to put it on the same branch, commit the new file. There we go, so 6 commits. Now what I want to do is go and pull it from here. So this is much faster now since I can just do git pull, and it will, because since it's tracking the branch now, you can see here it didn't give me any errors or anything like that. It worked perfectly. So I'm going to list everything. So now I'm going to remove license.md. You can see that there's some highlighting there that I might have missed because it's a folder. So I'm going to rm-rf license.md. Just like that. So there we go. Now git add dot git commit -m, and we're going to commit our other commit. So there we go. Removed proper mistake. And usually you wouldn't do this. Usually you just revert back and do the whole thing again. But since we're trying to get some practice with push and pull here, I'm just showing you how to get used to it. There you go. So now we're just going to push it to the branch, but this time we can actually use git push instead of git push, origin, master, all of that, because we remembered the branch. So I can just go git push. And what that's going to do is it's still going to prompt me for my username and password. But what's going to happen is it's going to use the remembered branch that we entered with the -u flag, and it's going to enter that. Now I already committed it. If I actually go up, I'll show you right here. I used git push origin master instead of git push. So I just wanted to prove that point. I'm kind of used to saying origin master just because I like to push different branches. But don't worry about that for now. So the remembered branch is our master branch, and it's being pushed and pulled without having to specify it. So let's go ahead and refresh and make sure everything's working fine. 7 commits, that license folder is gone, and now we have everything set up. So there we go, we have 7 commits, and we've been interacting with our repository from both Git and GitHub. So this is where it gets really powerful. Here you can go off, you can do many different things, and it just gets really nice. So in the next few videos, I'm going to be talking about pushing different branches and some of the mistakes between them, maybe some complexity issues. So we're going to be talking about pushing different branches, because right now we only talked about pushing the master branch. So in the next few videos, or in the next video actually, I'm just going to talk about pushing and pulling different branches. All right, let's move on.